Welcome to the Not Old Better Show Good Housekeeping interview series on radio and podcast. The show covering all things health, wellness, culture, kitchen, cooking, and more. The show for all of us who aren't old, we're better. Each week, we'll interview superstars, experts, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, all related to this wonderful experience of getting better, not just older. Now here's your host, the award-winning Paul Vogelzak.
Thank you, and welcome to the Good Housekeeping Not Old Better Show Good, Better, Best interview series. I think we have got a fantastic show for you today, especially during this holiday season when so many of us are traveling. And if you've ever packed too much, forgotten the one thing you really needed, or booked a hotel that looked a lot better online, this episode is for you. Today, we're bringing something truly useful to you and fun, I think, from the trusted experts behind the great Good Housekeeping seal that millions of Americans know and love. I'm joined by Lexie Sachs, Executive Director of Strategy and Operations at the Good Housekeeping Institute, and one of the country's top product testers when it comes to everything from luggage and travel gear to bedding and home goods. Lexie knows what works and what's just hype. Lexie Sachs and her team don't just talk about travel, they test it, inspect it, and stress test it. This year alone, more than 125 testers, editors, and experts joined forces to evaluate destinations, cruises, resorts, luggage, and gear across 5 continents, all to help you travel smarter, lighter, and more enjoyably. And whether you're planning a weekend with the grandkids, a once-in-a-lifetime adventure, or just want to know which carry-on won't fall apart in the overhead bin, you are in the right place. So sit back, maybe start planning that next trip in your head, and get ready for some truly helpful ideas and insights from the woman who makes sure every pick in Good Housekeeping's Travel Awards really lives up to its name. So join me in welcoming to the Good Housekeeping Good, Better, Best series, Lexie Sachs. Lexie Sachs from Good Housekeeping Institute. It is great to talk to you. Welcome to the program. So nice to connect. Happy holidays to you and yours.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's a good time to be talking. Absolutely. And I know in my research of you that you really have this wonderful experience that you're bringing to our interview today and to your world professionally. 15 years in the consumer products industry. You really have watched closely how travel has evolved during that time. And I'm in a multi-generational family myself. I wonder if you could talk to us about the evolution of travel for all of us, but maybe focus on those of us who are in these multi-generational families. We plan on traveling a little bit more with our grandchildren.
Yeah, well, I would say the biggest thing we've noticed is getting inspiration from social media.
Yeah.
So right now, people are turning to social media heavily to get ideas for trips. And we're seeing that grandparents are mostly turning to Facebook, parents are looking to Instagram, and children are still getting ideas from their friends. They're getting ideas from TV shows and movies, but they're also looking at social media, which can include everything from YouTube to TikTok, Instagram, and so on. So that's really playing a big part in where these ideas are coming from.
Fascinating. Yeah, social media is just the be all and the end all these days. Absolutely. And a wonderful resource in the same way that you are, and in the same way now that the Good Housekeeping Travel Awards have become. It's a bit of a newer initiative for Good Housekeeping, but I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about some of the trends that you noticed from this year's winners and that you think might matter to our audience and certainly to all the families that are kind of planning vacations together and perhaps upcoming reunions.
Yeah, so I think that one of the biggest trends is accommodations for big groups. So families can be together under one roof, but you also get a lot of perks that come along with that. So you get more space, you might get kitchens, laundry, and there's options for every type of trip. So if you're going to the theme parks, you can find houses to rent near there that are really run like a resort, but also in the mountains, by the beaches. So really space and amenities for the whole family. Another trend we're seeing is accessibility. So not just what's legally required, but going kind of above and beyond. So maybe it's listing the bed height when you are browsing so that if you have mobility issues, that you're able to see that in your research. Also, shower accommodations, just considering people who might have mobility issues more in their experience.
Excellent. That's so helpful. I know you and your team, you just test hundreds of products. You go to hundreds of destinations, and you really are seeing it all. What are some of the insights that have surprised you most, particularly around this older group of travelers, but families in general too? What are you seeing as being really some of the priorities that are coming now, kind of post the pandemic?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the intent to travel. We
Hmm.
were recently the media partner in the Family Travel Association's annual survey with NYU. So we surveyed our Good Housekeeping audience, both parents and grandparents, and the intent to travel is the highest it's been in nearly a decade. So that's even before COVID. And one of the big trends we're seeing is letting kids get involved in the planning. So parents and grandparents are saying that that makes for a better trip. And that can be as simple as just picking out some of the activities, but it can be as big as helping to pick out the destination. And really, the grandparents are saying that the biggest reason behind that is the bonding experience.
Hmm.
They want to see their grandchildren's joy. They want to spend time with the grandchildren. It's less so about celebrating a milestone or having a family reunion. Those are still important, but it really is just that shared experience with the family that is what's driving them.
I'm going to personalize this for just a moment and just tell you, just in a confessional kind of way, my wife is just a standout packer. She just does this great job packing her bag. She just brings the essentials. She really knows kind of what to pack, how it all kind of fits in her carry-on bag. And I really am not as efficient. I'm not as good at packing's a chore to me. And so I wonder if you'd tell us about some tips that you see for packing, maybe some luggage recommendations too, because I'm doing it wrong. We're going to be going again over the holidays, and my wife already has this bag packed, and I'm stressed. Help me out.
She is very smart. It sounds like you're describing her very accurately.
She's smart, yes.
One thing, by chance, I was going on a long summer vacation and I had a lot to do right before we were going away. And I ended up packing the weekend before. So we were leaving on a Sunday, but the weekend before that, I did my packing. And I thought, the socks, pajamas, clothes, I'll just deal with it during the week, but let me get the packing out of the way. And that is the best thing I have ever done for packing because the weekend before, I was not stressed. I was like, I just got to put in some chargers and maybe some toiletries, but to have that off my plate was great. And the other thing is that I was not panic packing. I was not in that mentality of being stressed. So I wasn't adding all those things that I don't actually need and all the outfits I don't need. I think that when you're stressed about packing, you end up overpacking and having it be like, I'm fine. I have plenty of time. I didn't overpack that way. Um, I would also recommend making a master packing list, something that you could reference anytime you go away. And depending on the type of trip or the length of trip, you can always adjust it as needed. But having a baseline to go off of, and it might be annoying to make for the very first time, but it'll save you so much stress with packing and make it just so much easier every time you need to go back and reference that master list. So those are my two biggest things.
We've just scratched the surface with Lexie Sachs. But coming up, Lexie shares the one travel item she never leaves home without, a surprising pick that beat out luxury brands in their testing, and the destination that's been quietly winning hearts of travelers over 50. So trust me, you're going to want to hear this. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. If you're like me, you've trusted Good Housekeeping for years. The recipes, the reviews, the real-life advice that makes your home smarter, healthier, and, well, happier. But now Good Housekeeping has taken it to the next level with GH+, a powerful membership designed just for people who love trusted information and want more of it faster. With GH+, you'll get unlimited digital access to every article, recipe, and lab-tested product review on goodhousekeeping.com. You'll also receive the iconic Good Housekeeping magazine delivered right to your door for an entire year. You'll also get exclusive recipes straight from the legendary Good Housekeeping Test Kitchen, member-only newsletters, discounts, and direct access to the experts at the Good Housekeeping Institute. This is more than a subscription. It's your invitation to join a trusted community that values quality, curiosity, and everyday excellence. Head to goodhousekeeping.com/GH+ and sign up today. Your kitchen, your home, and your peace of mind will thank you. We'll have links to all of this in our show notes today, so please check it out. That's goodhousekeeping.com/GH+. Lexie Sachs is our guest today. Of course, Lexie is the Executive Director of Strategy and Operations at the Good Housekeeping Institute. Lexie, it's so great to talk to you, and thank you for all of these tips. For somebody who is packing challenged, I know I will do a better job. I love that idea of kind of a list and, kind of planning ahead. That's so helpful. I wonder if you'll talk for a moment or two about budget conscious travel. I think that's on all of our minds these days. We love a great escape, but we certainly want to be as efficient as we possibly can. So maybe share a couple destinations that you found in kind of your experience, especially around this year's awards, that both offer these great experiences, but great value so that we're not sacrificing, some of the quality or comfort.
Yeah, so I would suggest looking at a small city or a small town that might not be super popular. We found that these offered great experiences and really good bang for your buck. So one option on the West Coast would be Bellevue, Washington. It's right outside Seattle.
Yeah.
Stunning views, very sustainably minded community, lots of art installations, a great restaurant scene, and they actually have a free on-demand shuttle service that's powered by electric vehicles. So it was a really memorable stay for our testers who visited there. If you're traveling with grandkids and want a more like family-friendly stay, it's going to sound surprising, but Orlando, if you're skipping the theme parks, there are so many full resorts there that have everything you need. You never have to leave the resort, tons of pools. And because there's so much competition there, the ones that are off the theme park properties are actually really great value. And my family regularly goes to Orlando and we do the theme parks, but all of these different hotels we've stayed at have been really memorable for my kids. And so I think that you can find a really, almost like a tropical vibe vacation where the kids are in the pool, there's arcades, there's activities, and that becomes a great experience in itself and can be really affordable. We do have some others. We
Yeah,
have
please.
the YMCA of the Rockies. So right by the Rocky Mountain National Park, there are kind of no frills lodging available. There are, bigger spaces for the families. It can start as low as $109 a night, and it has so many different types of activities. So there's dog sledding, there's waterfall hikes, fishing, pottery painting, and all of these are included in the rate. So this has been a repeat winner in our travel awards year after year because of the value and the fun that it brings.
Well, I want to dive into a little bit more of these travel insights that you have that you've mentioned and referred to, especially with regard to family and traveling with grandkids. For those of us who are doing some of that, what are your kind of your go-to tips about hacks for how to really make it kind of all come together, so the trip is a little bit less stressful? As grandparents, we want the trip to be all about our memories and these wonderful, enjoyable activities, but we certainly want to leave the stress behind.
Yes. So one thing I did when my kids were younger, like in the preschool, early elementary ages, was letting them pick their own activities when I knew we'd be driving for a long time or taking an airplane. I used to pack all the activities that I would curate and they weren't that interested. But if I stopped at like a Walmart or a Target and said, you have $10 to get an activity,
Wow.
they picked it out themselves and it kept them entertained for long stretches.
That's a
So
good
I would
idea.
say make them part of the boredom killer experience. Another tip that I tried, I recently got my daughter a cheap digital camera. She's 7 years old, and it kept her so much more engaged. This had the option for her to take pictures of what she saw and what she found interesting, because it's usually me taking all the photos from my point of view. So
Right.
it kept her attention, and it also had a selfie mode. So she was able to capture herself in pictures with cool backgrounds. And I just felt like this really let her focus on what she found interesting throughout the trip and what she wanted to capture her own memories of. And that made a huge difference.
That's wonderful. I love that idea of going to Walmart and then a travel camera too, getting the perspective of the child. Because yeah, I'm the photo guy in our family, and I definitely in a rut there. It's kind of all the same kind of shots. I'd love to have somebody else's perspective right along with me.
Yep.
Lexi, in your role, as executive director, strategy operations at the Good Housekeeping Institute, you do so much in the way of product testing, and there's so much happening there. What's one travel item that surprised you that you didn't expect to kind of perform that way, but in fact it did and was helpful?
So, Ray-Ban and Meta just came out with smart glasses, and
Yeah.
I thought they would be overhyped. They do a lot of like AI features, like translation, things I haven't really needed so much, or maybe are not quite there with the AI capabilities. But they surprised me with how useful they were capturing those memories. So, when you go to vacation, most of us are having our phone out taking all the pictures, and this let me capture memories without my hands. So, there's a button that you could just touch while you're wearing them to capture the videos and the photos. You can say, "Hey, Meta, take a video," and it'll start recording. And what really surprised me was how great the quality was. We were on beaches, we were sightseeing, and I was able to just wear them like regular sunglasses, but still be able to capture those memories hands free. And I loved not having my phone out all the time and not having to watch that memory through my phone screen while I was filming. I just was able to record exactly what I was seeing. So they're not cheap. They started over, well, there's the first generation, which I believe are just under $200. And then the second generation, which has a little bit of a better quality to it, those start around 379. So certainly an expensive product, but if there's a holiday coming up or something where it could be a group gift, like this was just, it blew me away. It was so useful.
That's really great. Yeah, I've seen the Meta glasses and have wondered about their usefulness, but that's a fantastic idea. Another perspective, absolutely. So, travel, of course, is all about the joy of discovery, being together as family, just this wonderful kind of new experience that we're sharing. I wonder when it comes to testing, though, for you and your team, how do you balance this idea of the joy of travel kind of with this data driven approach of testing? How do you kind of make that come together? And why is that important, that balance, for so many in our audience who are doing some of this planning? To keep those things in mind.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, obviously, the Good Housekeeping Institute has been around for well over a century, and we've been trusted for testing products so that you're investing in the right things for your home. And when it comes to travel experiences, we take that approach just as seriously. So, everything we do when we are evaluating destinations and experiences involves both quantitative and qualitative data. So, when we say quantitative, people are scoring things. We ask them tons of questions when they're checking out these experiences for us. We talk about the room size and the amenities on the property, checklists of things. Are there lifeguards at the pool? We have criteria that is standard. But on top of that, we ask a ton of open ended questions. And that's really where we capture that subjective feeling of joy. We ask things: what was the biggest takeaway? What was your most memorable moment? Who do you think this trip is best suited for? Tell us about the other types of travelers you saw there. What was the vibe? And it's those questions that really prompt people to think back and leave their impressions with us. And that not only helps us make decisions about what to recommend, but then we can reference those types of feedback to our readers, giving tips and giving that type of sentimental experience that they can take away.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love that. Just again, the perspectives, ideas coming through loud and clear. So I want to personalize this a little bit for you and talk about, your kind of most memorable experience. What's your best memory? You mentioned Orlando, and I would imagine that that's got to be high up there. But so many in our audience are planning some of these dream vacations. What left a lasting impression on you that might be the same for our audience?
So I think I have two favorite travel memories. The first being when I went to college. I traveled a lot as a kid. We always took trips, but I had never been to Europe. And my mom took me for my spring break, my freshman year of college, to London and Paris. I think that it was like me leaving home and her missing me and wanting that mother-daughter trip, which was the first time we had done that. And I ended up losing my mom in my late 20s. And now having that trip and the memories with it are so much more important. That, like, we went there with the intention of shopping and sightseeing and all of that, and just what a trip can turn into and like the impact it can have on you. I even at the end of our trip got food poisoning and I had to go to the hospital and we missed our flight home. And it's like that now is like a funny memory that we went through together and everything turned out okay. And it's just kind of like the impact that'll have on me for the rest of my life. Um, Another, now that I'm a mom, during COVID, I mean, we also love to travel and we took a break for a couple years. And in early 2022, we were still pretty cautious. We didn't want to fly anywhere yet, but we decided to take a road trip. And we went from New York to the Smoky Mountain National Park area. We went to Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg in Tennessee.
Okay.
And it's a trip that I would never have done otherwise. Like, it would never have even crossed my mind. And it was one of the most amazing trips my family has experienced. It was a great combination of amusement park fun for my kids, and there were outdoor nature inspired activities. We saw animals, we saw baby bears. And so it's one of those trips where I'm just so grateful that I had the opportunity to do something that I would have never thought of.
Thank you. Lovely memory of your mom. Sorry
Yeah.
about that
Oh, thank
loss,
you.
but just a very sweet memory, and so
Yeah,
nice to hear about Pigeon Forge too. We've been there, and so we took a road trip there. We saw Baby Bear too, and it's the highlight of the trip.
amazing.
We'll never forget it. Well,
Mhm.
I have a kind of a broad question for you about Good Housekeeping because so many in our audience are familiar with Good Housekeeping, the Institute, and it's built such amazing trust over the years. What do you say to somebody who is seeing some of these influencers? We refer to them kind of at the top of the interview, but there's a big difference between kind of an Instagram or a TikTok video and the depth at which that your team kind of takes some of these reviews and some of this research. There's a big gap there.
Yes. So I think social media is a great place to get inspiration
Hmm.
and maybe a great way to find activities and plan some of the day to day. But when you're making that decision on where you're going to invest your money, it's a big decision to make. So that's where you really need the unbiased and trusted source. So Good Housekeeping has been around for 140 years. We've know what we're doing when it comes to evaluating something and really looking at the holistic view. We talked a little bit before about the quantitative and the qualitative. And when it comes to the trips and our recommendations, if there's anything that gives us pause, maybe it's a service experience that someone had. Maybe there's something unsafe happening in the area. Maybe there are features that a property is missing that we feel like are important or might take away from a trip experience. We consider that and we are not going to recommend it to you. The other thing is that when we are recommending places, it's not just like, oh my gosh, you have to go here, but we really are going to give you tips that are helping you make the most out of that experience and things that you need to know so that, you can make the most of your trip and if there's anything to be mindful of.
Lexie Sachs, Executive Director of Strategy and Operations at the Good Housekeeping Institute. Fantastic perspective and such professional expertise. We so appreciate your time. We know how busy you are always, this time of year, no exception. I know you got a lot going on. I just have a few, I call them rapid fire questions to just throw at you. And just give us your reaction. Short answers are best, but you tell us. So my first one is, I think, one that I think about quite a bit. Window or aisle seat, and why?
So, from the good housekeeping standpoint, I'm going to say window because
Uh-huh.
you're the safest from germs. The studies have shown that you have the least exposure. But I personally prefer the aisle. I like the freedom to get up whenever I want if I need to without having to step over people.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. So I'm a carry-on guy. My wife is a carry-on person too. What's better, check bag or carry-on?
So, it always depends on the type of trip, but I'm going to have to say checked. I
Yeah.
find that when I'm not worried about fitting everything into a small bag, I can really relax and enjoy it a little bit more. But that's me.
Yeah, good. Helpful. Okay, so what's the one item that you never forget to pack? Again, help me out. I'm stressing.
This is a weird one, but my packing list. So
Okay,
I find
good.
that it makes it easier to pack up to go home when I'm making sure I didn't leave anything behind. And also, if anything, knock on wood, gets lost, you have your packing list with you and you know what you need to get.
All right, just a couple more real quick. What's the most overrated travel hack that people just need to stop doing?
I've been seeing on social media people who are taking day trips to their destinations, meaning they're taking the first flight out, spending the day somewhere, and then taking the last flight home. And I can't tell if this is truly enjoyable for them or not, or if it's more just for social media.
Yeah,
But I'm
right.
thinking like how much money you spent to get to and from the airport in both destinations, the flight alone. I understand you're saving the money on the hotel, but once you're investing already so much to get somewhere, why would you spend just a few hours?
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, last one, I promise. So, with your Good Housekeeping Institute hat on, what's the one travel product that you just have seen that is just absolutely essential these days?
I think a good piece of luggage that is lightweight, easy to maneuver. We like the hard side spinners. They're just so easy to maneuver around the airport, and they are not going to add to that 50-pound weight capacity. So that's really it'll make or break a trip. How good your
Yeah.
suit is.
Yeah, and sometimes some of these soft bags, you can lose a lot of space. It's helpful to have a little bit more firmness.
Yeah, the structure for sure.
The structure. Lexie Sachs, Executive Director of Strategy Operations at the Good Housekeeping Institute. Our guest today, Lexie, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks
My
for
best to
having me.
you and your family. Yes, and I'll just say selfishly, please come back. We would love to talk to you again.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Lexie.
much.
See you
It was
again soon.
lovely. Yes, thank you.
That was Lexie Sachs, smart, sharp, and deeply trusted, reminding us that the best travel experiences aren't built on trends or filters, but on preparation, practical gear, and people who care about what actually works when you travel. Whether you're planning a road trip with family, a quiet coastal retreat, or that dream destination that you've always talked about, this episode powers it. Good travel isn't luck. It's knowledge. You can learn more about the Good Housekeeping Travel Awards, the product picks, and destination guides at goodhousekeeping.com. And of course, we'll have links at Not Old Better in these very show notes today. If you missed any part of today's episode, or you want to explore our full catalog of conversations from travel to health to history to humor, visit us online at notold-better.com. Follow us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content, including lots of video. We're on Twitter at Not Old Better and Instagram at Not Old Better. This has been a production of NOBS Studios. I'm Paul Vogelsang. Thanks for spending time with us today with the Good Housekeeping Good, Better, Best interview series. Let's be well, be better. Let's talk about better. The Not Old Better Show on radio and podcast. Thanks, everybody. I hope you'll join me again next time.